we found what you want to tell you about this woman who was walking along a city street the other day, and suddenly she heard a loud voice say, "Stop, you'll be killed." So she stopped, and a few seconds later a brick came hurtling down from a construction site above her and hit the pavement, would have killed her. So she walked on then and came to a very busy crossing in the road, and just as she was about to go across, the voice said, "Halt, don't move." So at that moment a big truck hurtled around the corner, ran through the red light and would have wiped her out. So she said, "Who is it that's calling out to me?" And the voice said, "I'm your guardian angel. I'm sure you've got a question or two." "Yes," she said. "Where were you on my wedding day?" I forgot what the gospel's about. Anyhow, we've got to be thankful for Thomas, that's all I can say, because he's such a true human being. He was a disciple, but he was a really tricky person who had problems. Like most of us have got problems with our faith, and many people are doubting it because of the great outrages of the pedophilia that's been taking place in recent years. And people doubt, they wonder what's it all about? Why has this God allowed this to happen? And it's a fair enough question. And here we are, sitting here this morning in faith and in belief, celebrating the fact that Christ has called each of us by name to follow him. And that's a mystery in itself. But Thomas was called too, like us. He was one of the 12. And he was a great man. He said when they had to go to Jerusalem, that they said, "Oh no, we won't go, it's too dangerous." And Thomas said, "Let us go and die with him." And Thomas was the one at the Last Supper when Jesus said, "Look, I've got to go away from you now, but be trusting me." And Thomas said, "How do we know the way?" He's always asking these questions like many people do today. They question things because that's how our culture is leading people to do. But the thing that Thomas gets out from Jesus is that famous phrase, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe." See, our problem is we haven't been able to see and touch the risen Christ. We can only believe what has been said over the centuries by the church. We have in the scriptures that he was rose from the dead. And that's an extraordinary thing because no one else has ever done that. But he came to tell us that there's a new dimension of living. You're living your lives now and you're doing quite well. But that's on one level. But if you move to another level, the level he offers of the risen, that is a person who's got that, there's no more death, there's no more sorrow, there's no pain, you have a life with the people you love. We call it heaven, but it's beyond our imagination and beyond all we can, but we believe it because that's the whole point of our faith. Because Christ came amongst us, ate, drank, slept in these little cabins and did all these things, but then he died, he was crucified, but he rose. He triumphed over that. And anyone that triumphed over death is worth listening to. But Thomas, of course, was a hard-nosed man, hard-headed. And he wouldn't accept the words of the disciples. He wouldn't accept what the church was saying until he met Christ face to face. And then Jesus showed him the wounds, showed him the side, and Thomas fell at his feet. We don't have that experience, but we know what wounds are. Everyone in this church has been wounded in one way or another in the course of their life. And it's all different. And Christ, that's the amazing thing about Christ's resurrection. He took his wounds with him. He just reminded us that he had been on this planet. He had had all the difficulties that we face. He had been wounded in his heart. He'd been betrayed. In his relationships, people had left him. And then finally in his death, with the nails through the palms of his hands. So he never forgot that. And so when he came, he said, "You're on the same journey as I was. You have a faith that God's given you. And if it's hard at times, you doubt, and we worried. But Thomas did. But Thomas came good, and we can too. So we're here today just precisely because of that, because Christ is here coming to us through the words of Scripture, and of course through the Eucharist, where he comes to each person and just strengthens them inwardly, gives them the strength and hope they need, and deepens their faith, and above all, their intimate friendship and love with him.